Hey everyone, welcome back. And this is episode 17 of CNY Conversations. I'm Jason Klink, your host. I'm here today with Sierra Rathbun. And Sierra is an Air Force veteran. Thank you for your service. She graduated from SU with an MBA, and she's the heart and soul of Sierra Whiskey Fitness. I'm assuming you took that from the military. So her journey is one of dedication and creativity, evident in her coaching at a welcoming home gym and her innovative designs for fitness equipment. With a genuine commitment to rewriting stories, Sierra's passion lies in empowering women to embrace their strength, shifting the spotlight from the scale to personal power. Sierra, thank you for joining me here today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. So what moves you to jump into the fitness business and become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to own a business ever since I was a teenager, and fitness has always been a passion, since doing high school sports, and that carried on into my military service.
Hmm.
Military, you have to be fit. So, without all that being said, I knew I was transitioning out of the military in 2021. So, I wanted to get a jump start on starting my fitness business. So that way, once my separation date came in 2023, I'd have everything all nice and buttoned up. So, with all that being said, I'm really just here to help people and I want to work for myself. So, that's why I went for that entrepreneurship route.
That's awesome. Now, is it something that you took from the Air Force? What were you doing in the Air Force?
So, I controlled planes, it was like air traffic control.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Very different from fitness.
Very.
So now is it your fitness business all online? Is it in person? A little bit of both?
Yeah, so I do a hybrid approach. I
Okay.
have a handful of clients online, and then I have a handful of clients that actually come to my personal home gym, and I train them out of here.
Awesome. Now, with that, when you jumped into this fitness business, what was some of the bigger, either learning obstacles or hurdles you had to get over to really get this going and start generating some type of interest, not only interest, but clients?
I would say that's honestly the hardest part of starting a business, especially from the ground up, is getting your name out there. So I was very aggressive with my strategy at first with social media, letting everyone know, hey, I'm starting a business. It'd be great if you could support me, spread the word. And then from there, I have really supportive friends and family. They shared everything to their personal social media pages, and that's how I got my start.
Awesome. Yeah, and really that's just, a lot of great businesses start that way, like grassroots campaign and off and running. I have uh, a friend of mine who, her and I connected over my last podcast, and she's a fitness instructor now living in another state, but she, same way, grew it from the ground up and just started bringing people in to where she went from a handful of clients to hundreds of clients all over the world. And it's such a great thing to see. Now, with the fitness business, is it like, are you paying per session? Is it, a subscription based? How does the business model work?
I try to stick to a subscription based model, so that way my prices are nice and flat, and you know
Mhm.
what you're getting every month. So it's not onesie twosie sessions here and there. It's just a flat fee of 4 sessions is going to be XYZ amount of dollars. Oh, you're doing online coaching? Okay, you're going to pay this flat fee.
Okay. Yeah. No, it makes sense. And I know of a lot of fitness businesses fall in that same line. Now you're located in Utica, correct?
Outside of Utica, I'm in Rome.
In Rome. That's right. That's right. So is your client base mostly in that Rome, Utica area, or have you been able to branch out farther than that?
Yeah, so all my in-person clients are mostly from Rome, and my online clients surprisingly are mostly from Utica. And then
Nice.
being in the military, I have that network of friends all around the country and world. So I do have a handful of clients outside of the New York State area.
That's great. And it's a crowded, business. It's a crowded industry. There's you got every you got every beach body or body coach, as they call them now, that are all out there trying to attempt to do the same thing. And then independent coaches and nutritionists and dietitians out there. Um, do you find that what's the basis, I guess, for what's your pitch when you approach or someone approaches you looking for some type of fitness coaching?
It's very much a no frills approach. So I don't do the, you may see a typical statement like, okay, I'll help you lose 10 pounds in 60 days.
Hmm.
I don't take that approach. My personal model that I pitch is be strong, be confident, move better, and perform better. I like to focus on things from the overall holistic angle to
Mm.
where we want to build habits that are going to be sustainable and last for a lifetime instead of a quick fix.
You hit the nail right on the head there, and I'm glad you said that. Habits that sustain. I used to joke when I was a bit of a gym rat many years ago, and go off to the gym, and it'd be the first week of January, and the place is crammed, and everybody's got their New Year's resolution, and they're going to work out every day for the rest of the year, and then by February, March, April, it all dwindles down because I think that people really fail to develop the routines and habits to be able to be successful and long term. They just want to hurry up and get in shape, and then the weather turns nice, and then we're just going to go and forget and go outside and and all of that. How do you change that mindset? How do you develop the mindset of this is a routine that's going to develop the habits that's going to lead into your health and fitness?
I would say that's the hardest part about coaching. You can't change someone, but you could give them the tools, and it's up to them to take your advice and guidance and make those life changes. So I definitely try to take a structured approach. So we'll start, with the basics of habit building, getting you into a routine, and then we'll build from there. And then
Hmm.
as long as they're staying consistent and they're willing to make that change, I've seen a lot of success that way with clients.
That's awesome. Yeah, I I love, and I used to say this myself because I tell you what, if I wait till 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to work out, I will talk myself out of it
Mhm.
every single time. But I got into the routine, the habit of getting up at, especially when it's the school year and everybody's going off and going off to work, going off to school, getting up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning to make sure I got the workout done before the day started. And I found more success doing it that way, and to each their own. But I tell you what, if I tried to wait till I'm like, nope, I don't feel it. I'm not doing it. How do you get over those negative connotations or negative mindsets?
Gosh, no, I am the same way. I'll get on a streak of doing a 5 a.m. workout, and then next thing you know, I'm back to doing it, right after work. But things that I like to do with my clients and myself personally is I make it a non negotiable.
Mm,
So, like today, for example, I wrote down, okay, I got to clean the bathroom, I got to train, and I'm doing this podcast episode. Those were the three things that, no kidding, I had to get done today.
hmm.
So I try to take that approach and make it no other option. So that way there's no excuses.
Do you find that you still rely on the military um, not training, but military routines that you had developed and apply them into your civilian life?
Sorry, my dogs.
No worries, no worries.
They're very excited. Yes, so definitely, I would say that gave me structure to build off
Hmm.
of, to build those long term habits. But it's definitely not a end all be all when it comes to my personal structuring.
Yeah. What were really was the draw to fitness? What got you that passion, that motivation to really get into this? Is something that in your own life that drew you to it, or is just you went, you know what, I think I can do that?
Yeah, so it for me, it's a huge part of my PTSD management.
Oh, okay.
So that exercise is a very natural way for me to manage my symptoms. So that's
Okay.
kind of why I've gotten into making this a long term habit, just because of how good it makes me feel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I've always been a big proponent. I spent, almost 30 years in public safety, and I've talked about it a million times. People are probably sick of me saying it, but I spent about 30 years in public safety, both as a firefighter and 911 dispatcher, an EMT, and that's a lot on your brain. Not like going off to war, or being in the military, but close. And it's a lot of pounding of the brain. And I was the same way. I took up running. I did a lot of 5Ks, took up running because it made me feel better and it helped me clear out my mind, and give me some clarity versus sitting around and really getting overwhelmed by some of the things that I was doing. And then that turns in, and I've seen so many former colleagues that turn to less healthy things, drugs and alcohol and unhealthy habits versus something more fitness related. Have you done any kind of studies or any kind of interactions as far as how fitness really improves the PTSD conditions of some people?
I haven't done my own personal studies, but I've read, like all the sciencey articles that people are putting out. And even if you just work out a few times a week, it's going to make a good, significant impact on how you feel. It won't fix everything, but it may
Yeah.
make you feel better.
Yeah, for sure. Now your client base, mostly women or a mixture of men and women, or
I've worked with a couple of gentlemen, but it's mostly women.
okay. And all kinds of fitness levels. I mean, are you going from beginners all the way up to more experienced, or are they more beginners? Where does your niche kind of fall into?
I have a nice mix of everything. I have someone
Hmm.
who's never been to a gym before, and then I have former college athletes that I work with too.
Oh wow. Okay. So are you writing your own, your workout program? Are you writing them on your, are you using someone else's? How does that work for you?
I use this app. It's called Train Heroic, and that's where I
Okay.
write all of my programming in for my clients. So everyone gets a individualized approach, unless they buy a canned program that I already have that's generic and not tailored.
It's interesting. Okay. Um, Yeah, fitness is a very interesting world. A lot of times, I feel people kind of take it lightly. Either you're really into it, you're really passionate about it, or you're not. You may start and then stop, and so how do you? What's the best ways for you to keep your clients engaged and keep them going, keep them developing those routines?
Honestly, it's a lot of people actually come to me for accountability. Like
Ah, yeah,
even the former college athletes are like, I just need someone to tell me what to do and structure it. So that's where I come into play, where I'll reach out a few times a week. I monitor their progress. So if I see that they're not doing their workouts for the week, I'll check and be like, hey, how's everything going? How's your schedule? Because, life happens. Unfortunately, you're not always going to be consistent. So I try to look at their entire lifestyle and see how they're doing.
Do you ever have to you have to put your PT voice on to get somebody into gear because they're just dragging?
Yes. Unfortunately, and that kind of goes back to you can't force people to do something, but
Right.
you can give them the guidance and it's up to them to take it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I used to laugh at like when I first started with watching or doing Beachbody workouts and Tony Horton and his programs, and I used to laugh at him when he says, "I'm going to yell at him because he wants me to yell at him. I'm going to yell at him." I'm like, "Hey, whatever motivates people."
And that's the thing, you have to know how to kind of mold who each person you work with. And
Yeah.
that's why the coaching client relationship is so important, because you're not going to be a good fit for everyone that reaches out to you.
So, kind of flipping the script a little bit, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what has been your biggest influences to not only in this business, but in business in general? Or do you consume certain content, or do you follow certain people, or do you take a little bit of everyone and kind of make it your own? How have you developed your business as a business owner?
Yeah, so I try to look at everyone and use everyone as a mentor and take bits and pieces and mold myself from there. So I grew up, my father's an entrepreneur. He has his own general contracting business. So I got
Mm,
to see him build that from the ground up. And every time I need something, I'm like, hey, dad, how did you navigate this when you went through it? And then for the more gym stuff, I've had my own business coaches that have gotten me more into that business mindset, because that's the hardest part of owning a business, is learning how to be a business owner.
oh, for sure.
And,
Yeah, and oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh, and I was just gonna say, believe it or not, there's a whole home gym community out there. So I connect with a lot of the other fitness enthusiasts and business owners and
Mm,
learn what they do.
that's great. That's good to have resources too, because I know and I've talked about this before. I know when I first started as a real estate agent, coming out of public safety, learning a whole new industry,
Mhm.
and I needed to challenge myself. I just needed something else, and I started learning about real estate. Well, the real estate course only teaches you how not to get sued, so it really doesn't teach you how to sell homes or anything. But then I get into it, and I got to learn marketing. I got to learn branding. I got to learn finance. I got to learn how to sell homes. I got to learn how to more sales, and my eyes just got wider and wider because there was a lot more to it than just taking a course, getting a license, and going off and showing people houses. I mean, and I used to do some business coaching for real estate with some real estate agents, and that's one thing I used to tell them. I'm like, it doesn't matter what brokerage you're working with, it's still insert your name here, real estate business, because it's your real estate business. And I think you probably found the same thing, that with your fitness business, it's yours no matter what influence you get or where you're getting your information from.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. You are driving the ship and you steer it where you want it to go.
Yeah, for sure. And realistically, in any business, I mean, if you're not seen, you're unseen. So if you're not active on social, you're not actively engaging with people or going to networking events or participating in networking groups, nobody's going to know, because they're always going to figure out who's who in the room, whatever room that might be, virtual or otherwise. So they're going to figure out who a real estate agent is, or who a fitness coach is, or who a insurance agent is, or whatever it might be. And it just gets you. I mean, I just yesterday I was at an event, met a new mortgage loan originator that I hadn't met before, and but worked for a mortgage banker that I do a lot of business with my real estate clients. And I was like, hey, give me your card. If I need to ever spread the wealth and I can't get a hold of so and so, I'll give you a call. And have you found any success, participating in activities such as that?
Yeah, if you, at least from my experience, if you want to grow, you have to network. You have to let other people
Yeah.
know what you're doing because posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform you use is not going to be enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing the podcast, but I do a bunch of different social media type content, and it's hard. It's a lot of work most days. I'd like to say I got it down to a science, but it can be a lot of work, especially when you're posting on everything. Um, so have you found, as far as your marketing and branding, have you found one platform that's more successful for you than others?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and I do a
Mhm.
little bit of Pinterest here and there, but actually Facebook has been where I've gotten 90% of the people I work with.
So are you just posting, and I haven't checked out, and I apologize, I haven't checked out any of your content. Are you just posting tips and strategies, or are you posting video? What works best for you?
So I found that doing a mixed approach works best. So I'll do, your typical picture and then I'll caption it with some tip, or then I'll do a reel that will grab the person's attention and it'll have some kind of educational content in it.
Awesome. So what would be your biggest pieces of advice for somebody looking to get into a fitness-based business? And what's some things they should gravitate towards, and what's some things they should stay away from?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like that one. So first, I will say let's talk about what to stay away from.
Hmm.
You are you, and people that want to work with you will work with you.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to be you because you are the face of your business and you are what's going to draw people in. So don't worry too much about being too niche or fitting into one mold in the fitness community. Just do your thing and be yourself.
Awesome. And what are the things that should they really kind of, as far as starting to go down this road, is there certain things they should learn, or what's your best pieces of advice there?
So, yes, you're going to be a coach. Yes, you're going to have your gym, you're going to have all the equipment. However, that's the, as I call it, like the technician level, or as my
Mm.
partner refers to it. And you are the business owner. So you can be the best coach ever, best facility manager, whatever. You want to be the business owner. So focus
Yeah.
on learning how to run a business, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the two biggest pieces of advice I've ever gotten is if you're running a business, you need to work on the business, not in the business. That's why you hire employees. And, the other one is, don't be afraid to charge what you're worth. So think of a number that makes you almost physically ill and then go with that. And, it's just, I had a business coach once that he was putting together a contract and he put out his fee. And he said the guy didn't even think about it. He didn't blink an eye. He wrote a check, said, "Here you go." He goes, "I knew right then and there I was too low."
Some people, and that kind of goes back to where you are you. Some people will think that 30 an hour is cheap, but then you'll have other people that when you ask for 150 an hour, they don't even bat an eye. So somewhere's in that middle ground, you're going to have people that will work with you and they won't question your pricing because you're providing that value.
And really, it comes back to there's value to your time. So if you're going to take your time to do training or coaching or whatever it might be, there's value to that. And when people they don't have the skin in the game, so to say, and investing in your time, they're not going to respect your time. So, and I'm sure you found out as you go along, because somebody's probably contacted you before. Give me a deal, give me a discounted rate to use your service, and that just means they really don't value your time.
Yeah, no, actually, that's something I literally just implemented a couple months ago was charging for consultations now. Before I
Mm,
was doing, free complimentary consultations, but over 2 3 hours would go into each one just with prep work, finishing the actual conversation itself, and I was losing a lot of time.
wow. Yeah. No, I believe it. Um. So what's next on your horizon? What's some things you're working on? Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of good stuff going on. I'm shifting a little bit to incorporating more product design into my business
Mm,
because I do a lot of like DIY home gym builds. So I'm
okay.
trying to grow that a little bit, and I work with a fabricator down in Long Island, and he brings my crazy ideas to a reality. So we're testing some stuff out there.
That's interesting because I think that a lot of folks would always. So I have my home gym's down around the corner over there,
Awesome.
and when we had refinished this basement, I mean that was I dread the idea of, and I went to the gym for years, but I dread the idea of getting up at 5:30 in the morning, and it's 16 degrees outside, and it snowed 7 inches, and having to get in the car and go to the gym and work out and then come back. And for us, we just invested in treadmill, dumbbells, bench, and using Beachbody videos or workouts online, but and not that I'm promoting Beachbody. It's just something we use. But it's been such a game changer because you have the ability just to walk down the stairs, go work out, get 30 or 60 minutes in, and go on with your day. Um, so correct me if I'm wrong. It's really not. You can get as in depth or as difficult as designing a home gym, or very simply just create something that works for you.
No, 100%. So that's another thing I do as part of my business is home gym design services. So whenever I'm sitting down with a client, we look at it, again, it goes back to evaluating their lifestyle, and then we
Hmm.
build the space from there because not everyone's going to need a full commercial setup. Some people can just
Right.
play with, adjustable dumbbells and a treadmill, and that's perfectly fine for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just it it takes away the excuse of, oh, I have to go to the gym.
Mhm.
Well, you don't if it's in a certain floor of your house and you just got to walk in another room. So that's great. And really, I think that you're probably the first fitness coach that I've interviewed that was doing that, doing the home gym or gym design. It's such an interesting niche. Yeah. And have you found there's others that are there locally? in Central New York that are doing that, or are you kind of solo there?
Honestly, I haven't seen too many others. I mean, you have some of the bigger local companies that do offer it, but I haven't seen anyone at my level offering it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting niche. Well, Sierra, I thank you for joining me here today. What's your any parting words of wisdom, any kind of advice you can give folks that are just they want to work out, they want to start a fitness program, but they're not sure what to do first?
Start small. I know that sounds silly and very cliche, but if you try to dive into like a 6 day a week program and you're so gung ho in the beginning, that's not going to last forever for most people. So start small with maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Maybe you're walking 4 days a week, just something that gets you moving, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, that's great. And I've given people that advice too when it came to running. People would ask, how do I start running? Well, first of all, invest in a good pair of sneakers. Second of all, it's called Couch to 5K app. Do yourself a favor and start walking. And it's a progression. It's very much a progression. I used to hate running until I started running. And then the more I got into it, the more I signed up for 5Ks, the more 5Ks I completed. And it's really a very much a progression. And so, yeah, I echo that. Just start somewhere.
Rome was not built in a day. And if you try to jump right into it full force, you're going to burn yourself out and lose interest pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Well, Sarah, I thank you for joining me on the podcast today. Anybody that's watching this or listening to the audio, feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any questions. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to connect with you?
So either Instagram, Sierra Whiskey Fitness, my Facebook page, which is also the business name, or you can go right on my website and there's a contact me form, or I have email, sierrawhiskeyfitness@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time for jumping on the podcast. I hope, a lot of people find value in it. Please share, the podcast, because it's the only way we're going to build this small community around the podcast here in Central New York. And, if you ever have a topic that I just see my brain just stuck. If you ever have a topic, Sierra, and you want to come back and highlight, whatever it might be, or I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Great. Everybody, once again, please comment, like, share, all that good stuff. And with that, I hope everybody has a great day. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon.